Hi, my name is Vanessa Elena Pekani.
Hi, I'm Lorraine.
My name is Mustafa Abdulaziz.
Hi, I'm Giacomo.
Hi, I'm Kira.
Hello, this is Leah.
Hi, my name is Sandra.
Hi, I'm Natsuha.
Hi, my name is Mayed.
Hi, my name is Salome.
Hello, I am Iliana.
Privilege in my context is basically seen in everyday life. I come from Malawi, and each and every single day you get to see and understand how privilege basically unravels within our community, from where you live to what you eat, and even the transportation that takes you to and from work. That is the context we see privilege in my everyday society.
I see privilege in my context through my linguistic abilities, where I speak 3 languages fluently since the day I was born, and that gives me a broad access to education globally.
Privilege to me is when you don't have to think about how much you're going to pay for school fees and what you're going to eat or how you're going to get to school, or even when you are in school, how you're going to get books to read.
Being a citizen of the European Union makes me aware of having the privilege to work and travel and study in any member state. So living here in Finland and being part of the Edglo team is really a privilege to me.
Privilege in the Ghanaian system is having parents who can actually afford the best quality education possible for you and also provide the necessary resources to see you through your learning process. Of course, you can get that only in the private schools. In Ghana, government schools are basically free, but are tagged as schools for the less privileged in the society. This is because they lack adequate resources like books, libraries, ICT labs, and they lack limited time because government schools in Ghana run on the shift system. We have the first batch coming in 8 a.m. in the morning and close at 12, 4 hours. The second batch also come in at 12 p.m. and then close at 4 p.m. Due to this, there's limited time to learn extra curricular activities. So in view of this, it will be much more of a privilege to attend a private school where you can learn all these and also spend more time with your friends and your teachers.
Privilege seems obvious when it comes to race, gender, and wealth. But examining the context of access to the job market, it becomes blurry, and it really depends on where you come from and where you get access to the job market.
I think in many ways, privilege can be very obvious, especially in terms of economics and wealth, because those have a very physical manifestation. However, there are many, many ways where privilege is hidden and not easily seen. Specifically, in systemic privilege, intergenerational poverty and racism are examples of how privilege is hidden. I also think that when we discuss disability, certain disabilities are seen and others are invisible, and that's another way that we should be aware of privilege.
It is not obvious. Privilege is something untold that is embedded in society, even within those societies that formally support equality values and policies. I like the metaphor that Peggy McIntosh used to describe white privilege. She said that white privilege is like a knapsack, and this knapsack is invisible and weightless. So you don't even realize that you're carrying this knapsack, but it is full of assets that you benefit of. So as a white man, I can acknowledge that society gave me this privilege in many social contexts. My social behavior or my application, for example, when I apply for a job or a house, may be considered more reliable or conform to the social norms and expectations just because of my name, my physical appearance, and just because the fact that I am a white man.
Privilege is not obvious to the people who have it or were born in it. Being in a privileged position might seem normal just because we haven't realized that there's a different side of the coin. Taking things for granted is a trap that we all fall into in our Western/modern societies.
So I definitely think that the discussion of privilege is important for all of us to engage with, and being able to see the life experience of others and how we are all interconnected, and to develop more empathy.
Well, I think discussing privilege is extremely necessary and absolutely important, because it is only by discussing privilege that we draw attention to it. We get people to think about their positions, whether they are in a position of privilege or otherwise. And once you get to know your position, you can work intentionally in order to correct that. A lot of people don't know that they are in a position of privilege, and they don't think that other people are being unjustly treated. So it is only by discussing that people get to know, and then people get to try to think about solutions to that. That can only be achieved when you talk about privilege.
It is important to talk about privileges because we need to become aware of the structure of privilege and how it produces power, marginalization, and exploitation. And also we need to become aware of the privileges that we have. Privilege is structured and normalized in the society, and it is often accepted unconsciously, since what one experiences is seen as what just happens normally, or only the result of working hard. Having privileges doesn't mean one doesn't experience any hardship in life, but it does mean having this unearned advantage over other people based on one's belonging to social identity groups such as race, gender, sexual orientation, disability, country of origin, socio-economic status, and language, and more. Acknowledging and recognizing our own privileges is a continuing process that takes time and effort, but it is important to know where we stand in the social structures by checking our own privileges, and to think about how one's privilege puts one's need as advantaged over other people's needs.
I think it's really important that we discuss privilege with each other in an open and non-judgmental way so that we can learn about other life experiences and to kind of deconstruct some of our own ideas about the way the world works. I think that by discussing privilege, we overcome fear of the other, fear of our own selves, and we can begin to recognize the other and our own selves more clearly. I think discussing privilege helps us develop more empathy and also critical thinking. It helps us to deconstruct some of those systemic privileges.
It's important to discuss privilege because it allows people to understand and to be aware. And once aware, it also allows people to be able to change those things that bring unequal playing fields for people, and so giving each and every single person, especially children, a better chance to prosper within the community and society, especially in education, where schools should be equal with equal access.
I see privilege affecting education mostly in the structural creation of different pathways for students. Children from underprivileged background face a number of barriers. They are burdened by worries, uncertainty, lack of trust, lack of support and guidance from their educational institutions and their communities. So this often hinders their opportunity to shape and build their present time and even less their future. I see privilege as inequality and injustice that affect social reality and children's perception of that reality. And even though they are often able to cope with adversity and show great resilience, even that the resilience can be weakened and undermined by their social and educational context.
The structure of society is reflected in education. Therefore, the socially and politically constructed power imbalance and systemic privileges are also reflected in education. So it is crucial that educators consider where students, as well as educators ourselves, are privileged and may be marginalized. The systemic privileges can be the reasons of unfair access to resources and learnings and interaction with peers and teachers, also expectations from them, and power imbalance in classroom, and more. Discussing our understanding of privilege in society as well as in education is a way to highlight how influential privilege can be on quality of life of individual as well as quality of education for individual. And it is also a way to work towards deconstruction of the social structures that perpetuate and reproduce the privileges through learning about it and discussing it in education.
And I see privilege creating huge gaps between students' access to higher education.
Is privilege affecting education? Yes, it does. Do you think that a school with libraries, computers, and extracurriculum activities is the universal example of school? Think again. Equal opportunities for children is still not easy and realistic in many parts of the world.
Well, in my perspective, I see one of the factors affecting society is the privilege of having digital literacy. Having the competence to use digital tools or technology makes an individual capable to do tasks much faster and in an efficient manner. If an individual is a digital literate, the individual has the opportunity to boundless potential. And if the individual doesn't have the digital literacy, then the individual has to resort to outdated conventional channels. Well, this is unfair if we want to build a just world that provides equal opportunity for everybody. We need a competence-based approach to cultivate a broad understanding of digital literacy, and that could be done through application of a power-sensitive analysis to this issue.
Privilege will forever be something that would be a barrier between the rich and the poor. In Ghana, the rich are considered always to be the rich, and the poor will always be the poor. This is because as a poor person, it takes time for you to get or to reach the elite class, especially without education and proving beyond the reasonable doubt that you are indeed qualified for a job. At times, we say that the grace of God may see you through.
I see privilege affecting society in many different ways. To one's ability for access to education, to work, to being able to define their own position in society. Especially in regards to social mobility, as sometimes people have to jump through some extra hurdles regarding their sexual orientation, gender, social class, ethnic background, and other factors.
Why have we decided to discuss privilege? Why now? Well, we need to stop feeling afraid that conversations about bias and social class segregation and inequalities will lead to feelings of anger or guilt or discomfort or sadness or possibly feeling of disrespect. The current state of our union doesn't allow that we ignore these tough questions or tough conversations. It may get uncomfortable for some, but together we need to utilize our privilege and positions to lead or at least participate in these conversations. We at the University of Oulu in the Edglo program have therefore decided to utilize our knowledge and expertise so that we can facilitate dialogue that can bring about positive and productive outcomes.
In our education and globalization program, we found through our courses and our own research that inequalities are still ever present. And especially during the times of the pandemic, they are continuing to rise. Privilege is also a topic that not too many take into consideration, as it has invisible forms to it and thus are regarded as not necessary to discuss. But we found it necessary, as these invisible and visible forms of privilege affect society in its whole, and in return can inhibit one's ability to grow further. Privilege, according to our articles, ranges from social class, access to technology, starting points in school, infrastructures, and choice of work. And thus it is clear that privilege can be found on all levels, and this is why it is important to address it.